Okay, well, we have begun. My name's Mookie, or Mark, if you prefer, and Larkin Poe is joining us from an undisclosed location. Where are you?
We are in my kitchen in Nashville, Tennessee, and we've been doing so much in here. And every time, because we covered the Robert Johnson song "Come On in My Kitchen," we have to make like a "Come On in Our
Come on
Kitchen"
in our
joke.
kitchen.
They're
There's
so
a
easy.
there's a good-looking guitar hanging up on the wall in your kitchen.
We have a cut. Let me pan. We have a beautiful water slide resonator over here, and then this, I believe it's a D'Angelico. Yeah, that's one of my husband's axes.
There are instruments everywhere.
We don't own any art, but we have guitars. So we have literally probably like 10 different guitar hangers through our house, and just every so often we change out which guitars are up.
Yeah, that's incredible. Part of the cool thing about doing these interviews is you get to see how the artists kind of live,
Yeah.
whether it's their home studio or their living room or wherever. And we've done a handful of these already, and it's been easy. It's easier to do this than route a band with gear to the radio station,
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
kind of weird silver linings, right? Like that we kind of been experiencing a similar thing. You can have, with one hand that gives you the convenience of staying home. This is one thing as like really heavy touring musicians. We've been touring since we were like 15, 16 years old. Staying home, this is the longest that we've stayed home in literally
Like
about
15
15
years.
years.
Oh,
6 weeks
wow.
quarantine, like at one stay, just staying home. And it's weird. It's like, it's so comfortable. We get to decide when we go to bed and when we wake
Yeah.
up. And
Yeah.
so, hey, like everything has its time, right?
Yeah, and hopefully in years from now, when you look back at this time, you'll think how wonderful it was to have a kind of a slower pace,
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Um, okay, so larkinpoe.com is the website. I just found out that the record Self-Made isn't coming out till June 12th. Did you have to push the release date back like so many artists are doing these days, or what was that the date
Yeah.
all along?
We pushed it back by about a month.
Was
Did you?
it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was basically based on, so we own our own record label. So we're very like independently minded. So with all the relationships and everyone getting slowed up in terms of, because I mean, I've ordered stuff and it was supposed to arrive, 2 weeks before it actually showed up.
Mm.
So we've just kind of gotten waylaid with getting product distributed and all that good stuff. But yeah, June 12th now. So
Is this your first go round with your own label then? Or is this, you've been doing it for a few albums?
It's our third
Yeah.
release on our record label.
Right. Was it a tough learning curve to figure out some, I don't know, certain business aspects of stuff or anything like that? Because, sometimes it could get, we're in the business of rock and roll, but, I often say that there's too many emails in rock and roll, but, it's all part of it.
I hear you. I
Yeah.
feel like we live in kind of a unique era in which musicians are expected to cover a lot more ground than traditionally they might have, in the 60s and the 70s, for instance. Like we are attached to the hip to emails and social media and all of these things that if you're in kind of a crabby mood, I think it's very easy to feel resentful. But by the same token, I think the gatekeepers have been removed. And so we do live at a time in which we can have our own record label and follow in the footsteps of Joan Jett, who pioneered the concept of, putting your own music out there. And I would say there's been a learning curve,
Luckily, we have a
Really
strong management team who are very willing to dig in and figure it out. So we've all kind of come together to figure it out.
Yeah. I could tell you that the people that you work with, they're working hard for you, so you rest easy because they are a good team, and I've had a good dialogue going with them for a number of years. I talked to my wife in the next room, and I said I'm totally unprepared. I have to get ready because we have like a 2-year-old, so it's like she works and then we work in shifts and all of that. It's kind of tough. She said, "Who's the band?" I said, "Larkin Poe," and she said, "Oh, you guys are old friends. Should be easy." And it's true. I remember doing stuff with you back in San Diego and various other stops, and I don't expect you to remember that because, like you said, you're constantly on the road, constantly meeting people.
No, but how often, but for that time in San Diego, do you have somebody swallowing a sword?
Oh, wow. Whoa.
Remember?
Yeah.
There was
I do now.
There was randomly a sword swallower. That's really hard to say about it. Who was there and talking about how he had been to the ER because he had one accident, like where he had 3 blades down his throat at one time and they split. And it was like, what? And you were there. So how could we ever?
That's amazing. That's amazing. So hopefully, God willing, when the dust settles, we could get you back into the studio and we could do this live and another live performance. That would be great. There's a few songs that you released already off of the new record, Self Made, coming out real soon. Keep Digging, Holy Ghost Fire, and She's a Self-Made Man. There's a couple videos already produced up on larkinpoe.com. The song that we've been playing lately, Holy Ghost Fire, is it's a ripper. It sounds great on the radio, and I got to tell you, we're getting some good feedback, and a couple of people on Twitter especially said, that sounds a lot like Blue Oyster Cult's Godzilla. Have you ever heard that? Have
We've gotten
you?
that. And I have to say, I was never, I mean, outside of Don't Fear the Reaper, I had never listened much to Blue Oyster Cult's catalog. So when people started making the comparison, I mean, one, I take it as a huge compliment because I feel like all music, it's derivative. Like
That's a badass song.
That's a badass song, but you can't help but be influenced by what has come before. There's only so many notes you can play. But of all the songs that it could be compared to, I do hear kind of like the echoings, and it's like, I would love. I'm so glad that we're compared to them because they are badass, cool song, underrated to a degree beyond that one song.
Yeah, it is a badass song. In fact, the other day on the air, I spun Holy Ghost Fire, and then I explained that some people had said it reminds them of that Blue Oyster Cult song, and I played that song immediately after.
I love it, man.
I cranked it up, man. Again, Larkin Poe is here. How are you passing the time? Who are you seeing? Are you taking walks? Are you going to the grocery store? Are you taking it easy? I imagine you are.
I guess it depends. In that we are home, it is easy. I feel like we are workaholics a little bit. So in the interim of being home, we've been trying to quarantine. So we haven't seen our band. We haven't seen really any of our friends except for each other.
Yeah.
And our front of house engineer, because we've been doing this live stream series,
right,
which ended up being quite a lot of work to get set up. And so we had our engineer come in to make sure that the video and the audio were just like on point. So we've seen him. We've kept it to a minimum on the grocery store runs, trying to be conservative, trying to do our part to really stay in place.
Yeah.
But our video content is like, we are going nuts right now.
It's keeping us really busy. We're releasing a new piece of content every couple of days.
Yeah.
Sometimes every day.
So yeah, I noticed on your website, for a lot of artists, there's a lack of tour dates, but on your website, it's almost laid out like a tour. Like on this particular date, we're going to do this live stream, and there are themes to each and every one. Is that right?
It's true.
Right.
This home series has been a great way to kind of release some steam because we had some epic tours planned for the spring. Like right now, we were supposed to be in Japan. We would have just come from Australia to New Zealand to Japan and then head to Europe for like a 30-show string of awesome venues. It was going to be our first tour bus tour in Europe. But we wanted to get some steam off to perform. And so we started this tip of the Home Sweet Home video series. And we did a cover show, and that was actually pretty nerve-wracking because we performed like 10, 11 songs that we'd never played, and that was cool.
We're doing our favorite Larkin Poe songs, and then we're doing blues covers. So it's really fun to have all of the themes.
And to keep you working too, to keep you engaged creatively and not just becoming completely stagnant.
Yeah, that's so super cool. Is there a tip jar or anything like that?
We're hoping that there will. So we're doing it on Veeps, and Veeps is a fairly new platform, and I think they just finished creating the tip aspect, which will be really fun because I've been seeing so many more virtual shows. Like my friends are doing them, and artists that I love are streaming. Hailstorm live streams, they're kind of outside what we do, but Hailstorm is an awesome rock band, female fronted killer band, and they've been doing live streams every day with their fans. So I'm obsessively watching them every day, and it's so cool to kind of get this different kind of access to artists that you love.
How long did it take you to jump into the live stream game? Because it took us a few weeks. We knew we wanted to do something. And then all of a sudden, we have a backlog of artist interviews that we're rolling out. We're doing it every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday now. And I feel like at this pace, we've got a couple of months worth of content, which is amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait to release all of this stuff. So did it take some time before you jumped into the live stream game? Because for us too, we kind of had to understand technology a little bit, but it's not that hard.
Once you get in the flow, it's been I feel like it's been a worthwhile investment, but it took us a minute.
We did a few more like casual live streams, and then it took us a minute to figure out what we exactly wanted to do for our more
the
official.
Mac Daddy.
Yeah.
To really like,
Because it's set up in my guest bedroom, and we have our entire stage like set up.
It's an insane amount of gear for a very tiny guest room.
And you're in Tennessee, you're in Nashville, you said?
Yeah.
So you just had crazy weather, crazy hurricanes, or what was it, tornadoes, right?
Yeah.
And now this, which is nuts.
I know Nashville was still reeling from the tornado when the whole pandemic kicked off. So it's not been treating us very well.
Can't believe it. So it's the Home Sweet Home live stream series, and you guys are doing them on the regular. Very, very cool. And I've talked to a bunch of artists, like I said, doing this sort of stuff, and you take all the time to write and record and create a plan to promote the music and go on tour and put the record out there, and now everything kind of comes to a halt. Are you writing more music? I imagine there's a lot to draw on and some things to write about maybe right now. Yeah
It's been a little bit tricky because I am one of those artists that the newest song that I've written is my favorite. And as you can imagine, since we literally just finished an album, I've been writing, but I've been writing stuff that is very outside Larkin Poe, because there is a part of me that is very nervous to forget this album. And we can't, because we haven't been able to tour this record yet. Like you're saying,
sure,
when you channel a lot of energy to a project, you really want to take it out. And especially like we're talking about in today's era of music industry, like you really want to carry it out to the people and play them these songs and let everyone like revel in this moment, because a record's life cycle, it exists for all time, but like that first blush of it coming out into the world, like you really want to make a moment of it. So we have been writing, but also I'm like, I just know myself so well that it's like, dude, you need to give it a minute, because I really could so very well see me as the front person bringing you like 15 new songs before the fall and being like, so instead of touring the existing album, we should just play all these random songs. And Megan's like, no, we have to play the records. One of these things where you're kind of walking a tightrope.
Yeah, you don't want this new one to be like the lost Larkin Poe record,
Exactly, because we really care about this one.
It's my favorite record that we've made.
I think so too, of all the records, because the last one, Venom and Faith, was like, it really did great things for us. It like, got a Grammy nomination and like stuff that we never would have expected.
What category?
I'm sorry?
What Grammy category?
Blues category.
Contemporary blues.
How cool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were so honored, because I mean, that was the second record that we self-produced and kind of made in a very similar fashion to how we made Self-Made Man. And so we got the news that we had been nominated
right before going into the studio to make Self-Made Man. And that was a great stamp of approval. Like, okay, you're like on the right track, so keep going.
Yeah. Dude, for an artist to, first of all, come up with like a concept and then like bring it to fruition, that's got to be an amazing feeling. And then get to, to be recognized, with Grammy nominations and stuff. That's absolutely incredible. The blues world has embraced you. Do you consider yourself just blues artists or musicians first and foremost? Or, you want to be considered more of a well-rounded sort of band?
Well, I would probably say that all the music that we make is very roots American music influence, because as you know, we grew up playing bluegrass music as kids. So we've always been involved in traditional American music. And when you go back and you start listening to the catalog of traditional bluegrass tunes, and then in recent years, expanding our palette and digging through traditional blues songs, it's amazing to me how much overlap there is, that lyrically and melody wise, there are a lot of songs that are kind of intermingled between the two disciplines. So it's been really, I think it's caused us to mature as artists, to really broaden our scope. And instead of choosing to define ourselves as like an Americana band, or specifically a bluegrass band or a blues band, being open enough to include like roots rock and roll, that's felt right for us, because then we're allowed to like express all the different interests that we do have.
Yeah, we've been kind of overwhelmed by the support we've gotten from the blues world too, considering that we are so fringe blues. Like we are blues, roots that's our kind of basis, but we're in a rock and roll dress.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think it's because we approach making music with such a reverence for blues musicians that and we speak about them a lot. We speak about the history of music and the music that we make a lot. So I think that we've been welcomed because we are so vocal about it.
Uh-huh. Any musicians who are active today that you guys are listening to,
Oh,
streaming or, you know, vinyl or whatever, however you
well,
listen?
there are so many bands, and I feel that more and more there's this new generation of bands that are playing music that is respectful and responsive to the past, while also continuing to push it forward, like a Fantastic Negrito or a Marcus King. Like, these are people that are channeling really wicked blues and soul vibes, but they're putting it into a fresh context. Like, you know, Marcus is what, in his early 20s? And he sings like
Yeah.
he, you know, an old soul. And it's so inspiring to hear him provide like a younger perspective while also including a lot of these older stylings, you know, in the same way with Fantastic Negrito, like putting his own unique quirky spin on song structure. And then also from a production sense, like when you listen to those records, you're hearing like hip hop ideas and like little bits and pieces where he's obviously cherry picking from production senses that don't necessarily align with the blues. And that's exactly like where we come from in wanting to preserve and protect, you know, blues and roots American music while also doing our part in the oral tradition of pushing music forward. You know?
Wow. Well said. That's incredible. Have you seen Marcus King live or Fantastic Negrito live?
Yeah, both of them
Yeah.
actually. We would have saw at least Marcus at Blues Fest in Australia last year.
Yeah.
And I think Negrito too, right?
Yeah,
no,
he was there.
Yeah,
too.
you're right. Yeah,
I've
so
never
we've
seen
got
a
the cross
better
paths.
never seen a better showman than Fantastic Negrito, to be quite
Amen.
honest. Saw him last year. It was just an incredible, captivating, you know. And we actually did this with Marcus King a few days ago on 420. So you could only imagine what was in the background in his living room.
I bet.
You know it.
Right. And we talked about his music a little bit. Again, this is Larkin Poe. I don't know if I need to say that because we're doing a video today and not radio. You know, I don't even know if I need to give out the call letters or anything like that. Um, I'm glad you remember me. And I'm glad you remember the station. And next time you sweep through Southern California, hopefully it'll be real soon. You always have an open invitation.
Thank you.
For sure, we'll catch up with these live streams that you're doing. I think it's a wonderful concept and a way for your fans to you know, be engaged. So that's really cool. And another thing that people could do out there is that they could buy some band merch, a record or a T-shirt. So we encourage people to go to larkinpoe.com and support some of these artists, you know, that you've been digging on recently. Anything else to touch on before we kind of wrap it up? I don't know when this is going to be out there, but it'll be probably next week. And if you're on social media, we're going to blow you up when this does hit.
No, I feel this is very well-rounded interview. Thank you so much. It's good to see you again, and I hope that all things continue safe and smooth for you and the 2-year-old. So exciting.
It is exciting. I don't normally admit it to my staff, but it's almost impossible to work an 8-hour day, you know, because we're working in shifts and everything. Fortunately, all our DJs are doing their shows from home. We got, you know, this is my bedroom and also my home studio, which is hilarious, but it works. I got the good microphone and, you know, all of that. It's crazy.
Mike will travel. You have a 2-year-old, but I have my older sister to deal with, so I don't know who's working harder here. I mean, I don't want to take any credit, but I'm just kidding. Oh my God.
She's not too much older. You guys are so super close. Yeah. I think Irish twins, I think is what they call that.
Yeah, we're really super close. Best friends for life. It's true. But good to see you. Thank you for having us on.
For sure. Be safe and take care of yourself and your family. And thanks for doing it.
Of course.
All right. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.